Russell Street, up where they had the at the time it was a pharmacy, and a couple of guys came after us, and we went in the doorway there.
I don't remember that.
Don't remember that one?
I remember we were up picking peas one time for our pea blowers, and that Polish guy, he was a coal miner, I think. He was telling us that we couldn't do it, and I don't pay attention to him. And he come over and he grabbed me by the shirt.
Yeah.
And when he grabbed me by the shirt, he turned his hand. And, you know, who are you to tell me, you know, this guy's a tough miner, and I'm about 16 years old. So I just remembered what Ed and I used to practice. So I turned his hand the rest of the way, put my arm around his neck, and I got a hold on him, and got him down to the ground, and I'm dragging him over to the track. And I was telling this Frank Rositsky. Remember Frank Rositsky?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that was Bosher. So they got to put his head on the rail and let the dummy run over him. And he's there screaming, don't let him do that. He's telling Frank. Frank says, well, you got yourself into it. Get yourself out of it. Yeah. And then Frank says, Leo, he says, maybe you shouldn't put his head on the rail. He says, you know, I says, well, he promises not to go after kids anymore. Well, I says, I'll let him go. And oh, he's there promised, and so then I let him go. And I was afraid he was going to get on the turn on me.
Yeah.
So when Bosher had seen me a block away, he used to highly up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And
throwing each other around.
Yeah, I'd take a swing at Ed, and he'd grab me by the hand here and the arm, throw me over his shoulder and down on the ground. Well, then I'm practicing how to lay flat so I don't get broken bones. Then he'd get up and do the same to me, and we're out there throwing each other around, and my mother looks out the window, and she sees us two. She gets a bucket of water, and she comes running out, and she's crying, and she throws a bucket of water on the two of us. And she says, such good friends, she says, out here killing each other. What's wrong with you two? We're sitting there and says, we're not killing each other, we're only practicing. She couldn't believe it, you know, that we're only practicing, but we practice pretty rough.
Yeah.
I tell them about the mine props we used to get.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, they were heavy.
Oh, God.
What about the story about, was it your cousin Jim that walked up the tracks and just punched the guy?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, we went swimming and up the plains.
Yeah.
And we used to, Cousin Jim and I, we used to go out to Millie where they didn't have any bathing suits.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we were walked up there. He was on one side and I was on one side walking. And there was a guy coming down Jim's side. So I thought, well, let's see who's gonna move. And so I says, it's not gonna be Jim. And sure enough, they get right close to each other, and all of a sudden, Jim, boom! And you know how the planes are.
Yeah.
And the guy goes rolling down a bank.
Wow. Wow.
Dad, excuse me, I'm going out with.
Nobody liked to work with him.
Oh.
And when we were young, going to school, my brother Francis used to take a big bag of lunch up for him because he was away like for 2 days. One day going down and one day coming up from Bethlehem. And sometimes I'd go up with him. And my father had a big Polish guy. Oh, he's a hell of a nice guy. Big and strong. And he told me, he says, if you ever get on the railroad, he said, don't ever let your father touch the fire with them books.
Yeah.
My father always liked to put the books in there and dig around in the fire. And there's nothing made clinkers worse than in there working ashes and with the coal. He'd make clinkers. And my father, if he saw a blue flame, why, then he had to dig up that. So he says, don't ever let your father put the book in the fire. So I'm going to tell my father you can't do that. I wanted him to treat me just like an employee, and that I'm not his son when I'm on my work. He's just an engineer and I'm a fireman. That didn't work. So the first time I worked with him, I already had experience on the freights with the stokers, and you just keep a light smoke coming up. Well, he come over and he adjusted them and was throwing lots of coal in. And I looked in and it looked pretty black in there to me. And one time when I opened up the door, the coal come out of the firebox onto the deck.
Yeah.
You had so much coal
Oh
in
my
there
God.
smothering the fire. We went from Ashley to Georgetown, and we had to stop at the crossing. That's all the further we got. He had so much coal in there. Everything was black coming out. So he's there with the hook trying to get all this stuff out of the firebox. And then it goes down into the box, you know, underneath the grates. And he had so darn much stuff there. For the rest of the trip, he had a fire in there.
Yeah.
And he's burning out the grates. So they had to put in 6 new grates. And he told me, he says, I took the blame for it. I said, well, you should. You're the one that burned them out. Well, I thought he was going to knock the head off of me. You know, the look he gave me.
Yeah, yeah.
Had the nerve to talk that way to him. Whoa. Well, then, when he got a passenger job going from Jersey, or from Allentown to Jersey City, he had the boss riding with him. And the boss had his car, and he had his own speedometer and everything back there. And we had a Reading engine this day, and they were good steamers. They kept the flues clean. And Central Railroad, they used to let the flues get filled up with dirt, and they'd have a hard time getting steam. But this day with a Reading engine, my father called me over, and then I went from my side over to his where the speedometer was. He showed me the speedometer, 85 miles an hour.
Wow.
And the speed limit for passenger trains was 60. And I said, you got the boss back there in his car? I says, he got a speedometer back there just like you? You know. I went over and sat down. I'm not going to say anything more. When we get down to Jersey City, the boss comes ahead from his car. And he has about 5 newspapers under his arm. He picked them up on the way. And he said, nice ride, Jim. And he handed him the papers
Yeah.
to read over in the bunkhouse, you know. Because then he'd have to take them back again in the evening.
Yeah, right,
Gee,
right.
nice ride, Jim. 85 miles an hour. He wanted to get the people down there because they'd have to take the ferry boat from Jersey City over to Manhattan to go to work. And he wanted to get them to work on time.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's a copy of that that's on the board. There'll be about 4 boards filled with writing. Your hands are puffed up. Copy of that that's on the board.
One none like to hit you this way.
Oh, that was a Mother
Wow.
Natalie or
Exterior.
Agnes.
Yeah.
Mother Natalie or Agnes, that was.
Sounds more
Yeah,
like
she didn't have the strength, so she, you know, because she's old,
Oh, I see.
she'd whack the fingernails in.
Yeah. Sounds more like a Tillman on.
When Joe took his kids up mountaintop to go to the school up mountaintop, he told the sister that if they treated his kids the way we got treated, he's telling me he didn't want any of this, that, or the other thing. He'd never tell them what happened. She couldn't believe that that's the way the sisters at St. Leo's acted.
Yeah.
She couldn't believe it.
Well, the problem I had, of course, is, you know, I had the 2 aunts there and grandmother and, you know, the uncles and all. So
Yeah.
They were dyed-in-the-wool Catholics.
Oh, yeah, they're very
And,
Catholic.
and
You wouldn't get any sympathy out of them.
not only that, but you got a lot of lip out of them.
And that's what my father was the same way. He says if you get it down to school, I'll give you the same when you come home.
Yeah.
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 So it took a lot of guts to make the move because your whole family, you know damn well you're going to get it from them. Well, we did it anyway.
Yeah. Well, I remember the time my sister Catherine was out back, and she was my favorite sister. Sometimes I wouldn't have 10 cents to go see the cowboy movie on Saturday. So she had loaned it to me, but she'd never take anything back when I'd offer it to her. She was a good girl. And I was supposed to stay home that day and do something. I don't know what it was. And I said, well, Pop's going to work. I'll do it tomorrow. Holy cow, when I come back home, Catherine's around back with the broom. And she said, oh, Leo, if I was you, I wouldn't go near the cellar. Your father's down there, and he's waiting for you. Oh my God, I thought he didn't go to work. You know, I'm dead now.
Yeah.
So I went down the cellar to see him, and was he mad? First thing he did was give me a clout along the ear, and I went over and I hit the wall, and then when I went into the Air Force, I had to sign a waiver for a punctured eardrum.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't fool around with you in them days. They
Yeah,
were
that's
pretty
right.
strict.
Yeah.
So, another time I was supposed to do something, take the ashes out or something, and I got to do it the next day. There he is waiting for me, and it's about 9 o'clock. We all had to be home before 9 o'clock in them days. They had a curfew. I had to take the ashes, fill up 4 baskets, and put them in the wagon. At 9 o'clock, I'm going down the street, going over the next street, then over the red brick road, down to Hartford Street,
Yeah.
down to the railroad tracks, and people are turning on their porch lights, wondering what the heck's that racket out there, you know? And they see this kid pulling a wagon with, 4 bushels of ashes in it. And after 9 o'clock at night, everybody else is, putting their kids to bed. It was about 10 o'clock at night by the time I got back. Boy, we had discipline in them days.
Yeah.
And today they call stuff like that child abuse, but there's no such phrase in them days. There's a story there. I don't know whether he ever told you or not.
What's
I
that?
had my brother's 22. He had bought a single shot 22. My oldest brother, Jim. And Ed had his gun, so we were down there. We used to go down to the dump shooting rats. And a guy come along. He looked like a, tramp to it. And he flashed a badge of some kind. And he says, give me them guns. He says, you're not allowed to be shooting in the city limits and all that. So I gave him my gun. And he went to Eddie to get his gun. Eddie put the barrel up against his stomach and he says, give him that gun. The guy couldn't believe it. And Eddie told him again, yeah, give him that gun back. I know, what the devil? I'd never do such a thing. I didn't have enough guts. He gave me the gun back. He said, you're going to get in trouble. You're going to get in trouble. Yeah. I remember that day. Boy, if I ever went home and told Jim that his gun was gone, I'd get a swift kick in the pants.
Yeah.
What was the story about somebody used to put cats in bags and then let them out in the middle of the
Oh, yeah.
lawn,
Yeah,
put them
right.
up and then
And then,
run back and then everyone would pick them up.
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Well, that's when Frank Rositsky was there, and he grabbed my gun. And this cat, if he could have made it over the top of the hill, he would have been set free. But Frank grabbed my gun and wham, he hit the cat. I don't know who else hit it, but I know Frank grabbing my gun, he put a hole in it. I guess, I don't know whether you shot at him or not. I don't remember, but there were several of us there that day.
They were cruel to animals in those days.
Well, we didn't.
Where'd these cats come from?
They were probably alley cats.
Stray cats.
Stray cats. People on the other side of this double block, the lady lives there by herself, and she moved, I think, to some kind of a home, and she had 2 cats, a brown and white one, comes over here all the time, and Margaret was feeding it. She was feeling sorry for this stray cat, and then she came back again, the woman, after she was gone for, I guess a couple of weeks. And the cat still comes over here, who would rather be over here than over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just last